And here we are talking about third generation technology, which ultimately is a way that developers have created methods for speeding up blockchains, increased functionality on smart contracts, throughput, everything. Okay. So when we talk about third generation blockchain technology, we went from Bitcoin to Ethereum to Cardano. In my opinion, there are other blockchain projects out there. There are hundreds of them. I was an early proponent of Cardano back in December 2017, which is where I did my first video about Cardano after reading their white paper. Basically understanding the technology behind the white paper and getting a really solid grasp as to the goals and the mission of this blockchain and what it stood for, what it was trying to accomplish, which is ultimately global use case across all industries, not just I guess you could say a niche blockchain use case. Some blockchains favor themselves as the blockchain for gaming, some other blockchain for finance, so all sorts of different things. Cardano, on the other hand, has been created to take all of the issues associated with Ethereum, patch those holes, and create a better blockchain. That was ultimately what had happened. And it's still ultimately in development. Some of the final milestones associated with it have not been launched. Now, in the grand scheme of things, IOHK, the founders and the builders of Cardano are three different companies. The primary development arm is Input Output Hong Kong, or IOHK, which is founded by Charles Hoskinson, who was originally on the Ethereum development team and broke away from Vitalik and Gavin Wood. Gavin Wood broke off and created, I think it was Polygon, which is much more of a niche blockchain in my opinion. And then Charles created Cardano. Now, in addition to that, they created the Daedalus wallet, and we're going to have videos on the Daedalus wallet, how to use it, sync it, all of that stuff in the future. A lot of the finer details in this course are going to come after these introduction videos to blockchain, just so that you understand. But Daedalus wallet is actually like a full node wallet, meaning it's slow. It takes a long time to sync up because every time you use it, you're downloading and syncing up what's on your computer with the latest of the blockchain. So you're downloading and operating and maintaining ultimately the entire Cardano blockchain when you're using Daedalus. Now, there are browser-based light wallets such as NAMI and others, which I'll show in the future. And there's a new one that's coming called Lace. This is being put out by IOHK, which I'm very excited about personally. Can't wait to start using. You've got Atala Prism, which is a self-sovereign identity platform and service suite offering verifiable data and digital identity solutions, which we all know the right things are going in our world. We're going to be using this all over the place. Then you have Project Catalyst, which is ultimately Cardano's venture capital arm. And not only is it the venture capital arm, but it is I guess you could call it a decentralized venture capital arm, in that when projects are looking to get capital for startup, rather than go to the public and say, hey, send us money, and having an ICO, you're able to submit a proposal to Project Catalyst, and Cardano holders are able to vote on which projects they think should get funded and why. And that is a significant thing that Cardano does. I'm not sure any other project or blockchain out there does. So this is something unique, and it's very successful. It's funded, I think, every quarter. And it's ultimately put out there so that developers can create new use cases on the Cardano blockchain and actually get a seed round boost in funding to do it. I'm personally building a social media platform on Cardano, and we're going to be submitting a Project Catalyst submission here pretty soon, I think before January. Marlowe, which is an open source domain specific language and product suite designed to streamline the creation of financial smart contracts. And then you have Plutus, which is a smart contract development language based on Haskell. So, where Ethereum was created using Solidity, its own proprietary kind of new programming language, which is brilliant. A lot of Cardano is being developed in Haskell, but also being developed in a way that a myriad of programming languages can be used to create smart contracts and applications on the Cardano blockchain. So that's a pretty big deal. This is the Project Catalyst website, and then there are active campaigns that are going and so forth. It's actually pretty cool stuff. And this is one thing that you don't see on the Ethereum blockchain. This is actually Cardano a staking rewards calculator. See, with Ethereum, one of the differences in Ethereum to Cardano is, with Ethereum, you used to be able to it used to be proof of work, where you buy all this equipment and start mining up Ethereum, and it would heat up the entire house. It'd get really hot. It would cost a lot in power to maintain 6 GPUs humming and purring away for hours on end. I've literally used an Ethereum hardware miner as a fireplace at one point. It will quite literally heat up an entire floor of your house. But when it switched to staking or proof of stake, well, now you have to lock up your Ethereum for a year or more just to get a passive yield on that. With Cardano, you don't have to do that. With Cardano, you are staking, whether using like the Daedalus wallet, you're staking to node operators, such as the Crow node, which is my own personal node I've been operating for years now. And people can delegate their ADA for a passive yield. And on top of that, it's not locked. When you've delegated your Cardano, it's based off of epoch. So you might delegate your Cardano or your ADA tokens today, you'll start seeing rewards in about 2 weeks. And then if you decide to spend some of it, well, then your rewards would be a little bit less 2 weeks later, because the algorithm will see, oh, you have less Cardano, you're not staking as much. Okay, that's fine. No penalty there, but you're just not going to get as many rewards the next time around. That's how that works. And there are calculators out there where you can say, if I put in this many ADA and I delegate it to this, approximately how much will I generate in a passive yield every epoch over time? And ultimately, it's roughly around 4.5%. So if I put in 1,000 ADA and I delegate that to a node, I stake that to a node, I'll get about roughly 4.5% yield on that a year, but it's broken down into epochs. So about every week and a half or so, I'll see more Cardano in my wallet than I did before. And there's so much to get into about Cardano, and I don't want this whole course to sound like it's a Cardano course, so I have to be careful. It's currently trading at 34 cents from a high of $3.14 in the last bull peak. And that's just fine by me. A lot of people, like I've been in it since 2017. When I originally got in, it was 33 cents, went all the way up in the first peak of the cycle and peaked out at $1.33 and dropped all the way down to like 2 cents, which is where I ultimately started gobbling up even more. And I started really hitting it into high gear, trying to educate everybody as best I could on, listen, this is Cardano. This is what I believe it's going to do. I could be wrong, but I'm going in big. I really love this project. I like Charles Hoskinson. I like what they're building. Everything, the tokenomics of it, all of it. I'm like, I think this is going to go somewhere. And I've been holding strong all these years, doing regular content about Cardano. Now you see half of YouTube talking Cardano all the time because the Cardano community is extremely strong. And the technology is such that it's ultimately creating methods for people in all industries to be able to benefit from this very decentralized blockchain, one of the most, if not the most decentralized blockchain next to Bitcoin. And ultimately, and see, the thing of it is, one of the key points in decentralization is there's no one point of failure. So if something were to happen, let's say we've got this network and, we have nodes all over the world. We'll use Cardano as an example. Let's say there are 3,000 node operators scattered all over the world, and something happens in one part of the world where a bunch of these nodes go offline. Well, guess what? The remaining nodes will take over and maintain that blockchain. So you don't have to worry about, basically for these decentralized blockchains to go down, there would have to be like a global power outage, a global EMP blast, or something like that. It would have to be taken out on a global scale, not a local scale, which is one of the reasons why it's much safer than, like if you saw the movie Fight Club, where they're watching the credit towers or whatever going down, and they're basically trying to reset the whole financial system, right? Well, something like that is a much more probable in a centralized financial system where everything's being stored on centralized databases and controlled by centralized entities. That is the very nature of blockchain technology and why it's so important, because ultimately, you can't shut it down in one easy charge. You've got to really take over the entire network in one way, shape, or form. And the only real weakness to a lot of these blockchain technologies right now is quantum computing, because through quantum computing, they're able to crack these ciphers and these encryption methods, these algorithms, fairly easily if the technology isn't quantum proof. I don't know of any that's 100% quantum proof yet. And so a lot of them are working on it, and they have methods that they're looking to present to their blockchains as updates to make them more quantum proof. But that's about the only limiting factor right now. And as quantum computing continues to take shape and speed up and be a little more capable with all the little quirks and how that stuff works, well, we could be looking at, I honestly, I think in the grand scale of things, quantum computing is going to be a thing. But I think a lot of the biggest, most prominent blockchains will be quantum proof before quantum computing is a real significant threat. And I feel like we probably got 5 to 10 years before it's even going to start rearing its head into a position of threatening status. So we'll just have to see what happens. Outside of that, Cardano, its throughput is going to be through the roof at some point. I mean, we're waiting for Hydra, which is a big update, and Hydra is ultimately going to enable, I think it's something like 1 million transactions per second. I think I broke it down to 86 billion transactions an hour or a day. Ultimately, if there are 3,000 nodes, each node in the Cardano system can handle 1,000 transactions per second. So if you multiply 1,000 transactions per second by 1,000 nodes, how many seconds there are in a minute, in an hour, in a day, there you get the throughput potential for when Hydra launches on the Cardano blockchain. And there isn't a blockchain in existence, to my knowledge, that can come anywhere close to that kind of blockchain throughput. So that's what I'm currently waiting on to happen. And I mean, that's Cardano. And now you should have at least a fundamental understanding as to first gen, second gen, and third generation without it being too convoluted or too confusing. And I'll leave it at that for now, and I'll see you in the next lecture.